So our spotlight game this week is Kirby Super Star for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Came out in March of 1996 in Japan and September of 96 in North America, literally just a week or two before the Nintendo 64 launched. So yeah, very late release Super Nintendo game, not the latest, but pretty late. Um, and it is the game that you'll recognize by the cover that says it is 8 games in 1, and there are various different play modes, various different styles. I had a few pieces of trivia about this I found this week. Let me find my notes here. So, despite releasing close to the Nintendo 64, the prototype for this game was developed all the way back on the original NES, the original Nintendo. According to Sakurai, although the prototype was for internal use only, it was almost complete, and some of Kirby's animations were nearly identical to the final game. The prototype was used to test out ideas before implementing them in the final product. So, what we would probably refer to today as like a game engine. Um, Sakurai said having the game operating on an internal build made it easier to develop ideas. And that's sort of how they wound up on the 8 games in one, is they were able to develop multiple different ideas. The
Uh,
addition of cooperative gameplay was something Shigeru Miyamoto requested. Miyamoto was always trying to implement simultaneous co-op in a Mario game, but the gameplay style of Mario was just too fast-paced to make it work, and Kirby plays at a slower pace, so it seemed like the perfect franchise for that idea to be implemented. And I gotta say he was right. It works better here than it would in, say, Super Mario Brothers. Uh, the game was the first in the series in which Kirby's appearance changes depending on what he copies. So that's kind of a neat little step for the franchise there.
yeah.
And the multiple game format was chosen because Sakurai noted most Super Nintendo and some NES games were very long, of considerable length, and the prices were high. So Kirby Superstar, it was he said, the antithesis of that trend, with Sakurai hoping to create like smaller games within a game to give you your value's worth. Development lasted 3 years, which is longer than usual for the era. This is partially due to Donkey Kong Country's influence. After seeing the computer generated graphics, Sakurai basically scrapped all the visuals they had developed so far and said, "Do it again." They redid all the artwork about halfway through development. And the last piece of trivia I have, the game was also included in Kirby's Dream Collection in 2012, a 20th anniversary compilation of Kirby titles for the Wii. And then it was also Kirby Superstar is in the Super Nintendo, the Super NES Classic Edition, um, the little mini SNES, that's what most people call it. And it was
And
added to NSO on June 9th, 2022.
and the DS, right?
And the DS,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, which looks great, by the way. Like
Mhm.
that was that like that's a nice looking remake. Uh wow, 1996, this you could not have like a worse timed video game. I mean, I don't always do my deep dives. I do when I can. I did for this one. And if you look up like any publication, it is just it's just like Mario 64, right? It's like
Yeah,
there is so much hype around other games at this time,
and to a
which are
lesser
not.
extent, other Nintendo 64 launch titles. Like, I remember, Shadows of the Empire got a lot of press as well, and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Bu
that was like N64 box art, wasn't it? I know we've brought this up before, but like
Yep.
wasn't that like a mascot? for
The
N6.
Stormtrooper is on, yeah, the Stormtrooper is on the Nintendo 64 box, and I think there might be a screenshot from on the back.
That today would be just pretty wild. To,
Mhm.
yeah, just thinking about that. Uh,
Well, I could do a whole deep dive on Shadows of the Empire. Hopefully they add to it soon. I know a lot of useless trivia about that franchise. Franchise within a franchise.
so yeah, 1996. I went back and I'm not gonna go off too much, but yeah, I love video game journalism from this era, and it just kind of puts me in this kind of like warm, happy spot. Going back and thinking like I always thought that was, like, cool, but I never thought, like, video game journalism was gonna be something I could actually do because there was only, like, 5 jobs back in the day. There wasn't that many of them that nowadays, anyone can do some version of video game journalism if you really want to.
We're doing it.
But yeah, yeah, exactly. So,
What's
um
crazy is this wasn't even the last Kirby game for the Super Nintendo. Dreamland 3 came out in like 98.
right. Right, which I'm gonna bring up kinda at the end.
Okay,
Oh, well, it comes up in my rankings anyways, but,
gotcha.
uh, yeah, I think this might be the only game or one of the only ones that it looks better now than when it came out because, most of the initial reviews that I read that when it came out is that it's too dated. Whereas now it's either come back or come full circle, to where a lot of graphical styles are accepted, but at the time, everyone's like, "3D? It's 3D time?" Like,
Yeah.
I think this is might be one game that actually, over time, has looked better because this is a good-looking Super Nintendo game.
And I've always argued that that was short-sightedness on their part. I feel like, especially with how small the library was, the Nintendo 64 should have had more side-scrolling games because the ones they did have are all cult classics. People love them. They're fantastic. They definitely should have explored that avenue more. But unfortunately, like you said, everybody like I could see it from an investor standpoint where like most of the developers were like, it's got to be 3D. We got to compete.
I got 2 questions for you, but we gotta get into the gameplay first because,
Mhm.
yeah, we haven't really talked about that too much. So, what did you think of the gameplay before I do anything else?
Well, which one? Um,
Exactly, exactly.
yeah, I liked it. Spring Breeze is kind of like what I've always joked about how I like games that have like zero challenge. And Spring Breeze is, and that's actually why they called it Spring Breeze, is it's like an easy remake of the first Game Boy game, Kirby's Dream Land. And anyway, that was a fun mode. It was like a fun classic Kirby game that had not a lot of challenge to it. Um what was the other one? There was the race in there, Gourmet Race, which is, a precursor to his Superstar racing game that he has now. Um what is that called? Then the name's escaping me. What's the Kirby racing game? Um,
Uh,
Star Riders. That's what it is. Um, but yeah, it's a racing game where Kirby races King DDD while eating as much food as possible. Takes place across like 3 levels, and that one I really liked. Just because of the franticness of it. You've got. I'm looking at my notes now. Dynablade, Kirby must stop Dynablade, a giant bird from disturbing Dreamland's crops. Mode consists of 4 levels that the player must clear before facing off against Dynablade. There are also 2 secret areas and a mini boss. Okay. And then you've got the Great Cave Offensive. It's a Metroidvania adventure that sees Kirby explore a cave. Um, Some treasures reference other Nintendo franchises, such as the Triforce. So this actually reminded me a little bit of Smash Brothers, which is,
Mhm.
interesting because it's Sakurai making the game. But like it reminded me of like the trophies you'd get in like Smash Melee when you would play this level and find a Triforce and Captain Falcon's helmet and Mr. Saturn from Earthbound. It was very much like when you'd see trophies scattered about a Smash Brothers Melee stage.
Mm.
Um,
That's a good connection,
Revenge
yeah, yeah.
Revenge of Meta Knight, story-driven mode, with Kirby and, Meta Knight, so that one was pretty cool. They definitely give you a lot of variety here. There's a boss attack mode, and there's, like, a mini game collection. It's a lot for a Super Nintendo game. I'm g ugh, I have no words. I'll say I really liked this game, like, I liked playing it a lot. I'm probably going to go back to it for just, like, nights where I'm like, I don't feel like continuing my file in Chrono Cross because that requires too much thinking right now, so I'll play some Kirby Superstar. You know those kinda nights?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Um, a lot of initial reviews also, when talking about gameplay, they emphasize the importance of just basically they said like take Mario Brothers, cut the difficulty in half, and then you have Kirby.
Mhm.
I forget that was one of the EGM or something. I don't know. Uh, but it's interesting that so many people in '96 were saying we need to have games for children or games that are easier because it's the exact same conversation we're having now. Like, how many
I've always
times
felt
have
the
we talked
Kirby
about it?
series in what it lacks in difficulty, it, like, makes up for in visuals, like, almost all the Kirby games are gorgeous, like, even today with Kirby Superstar Allies, like, that's a super easy game, there's almost no challenge to it, but it's a beautiful game, so, there's something I don't know if that's, like, a strategy on their part, but it's just, like, I almost play Kirby games just to look at them, you know?
Yeah. So it's just interesting that that conversation and around Kirby also has just never changed. Kirby is
Mhm.
for I guess forever has been like the more easier kind of game. Maybe perhaps it is more for kids. And also something that I was thinking of when reading reviews, because it came up multiple times. Do you think or do you know if video game rentals have affected the way video games are developed because multiple reviews, and this is for other games also, they say, this is a good game to rent for a weekend, but perhaps you don't buy it. Because like it's a shorter game, it's a game that you could play in a few days. And I wonder if like when Nintendo was developing games back then, they ever factored in the fact that like we have
Oh.
these games that you can rent.
Yeah, they tried to fight Blockbuster. That's worth looking into if you want, and you're probably not surprised because that's how Nintendo is. But yeah, Nintendo tried to fight Blockbuster every step of the way and not let them rent Nintendo games. There's whole YouTube videos on that whole fiasco. So if you're curious, look into it. Nintendo was not happy about people being able to rent video games, period. Um, but and they ended up suing Blockbuster over the instruction manuals because Blockbuster was making like photocopies of the instruction manuals and putting them in with the games. It's a whole thing.
That would be
Uh
bad.
yeah.
That would be wrong.
So yeah. They didn't want want 'em renting games is the point. That's a separate thing. But yeah, I noticed, really the impact for me really changed when you were able to save your progress. So, like, from the NES to the Super NES, I didn't own a lot of original Nintendo games, but I would rent them constantly because there was no point in owning it because you couldn't even save your progress on most of them. But once you could save your progress with the Super Nintendo, that's when it started being like there's a difference here and like should this game just be a rental or should you own it and have a save file and work towards doing everything. Uh I could see how they would label this game something you should do as a rental since it's just chopped up into like little mini games. But if you're a Kirby fan and you want to be able to constantly replay it, I don't know. The easy difficulty level too definitely lends itself to rental territory. So, but nowadays you don't have to worry about that because it's on NSO and everything else. But yeah, I guess I could see what they're talking about at the time with this being more of a rental title than a game you should buy.
Yeah, I just wonder like how many games that I would have tried out over the years, or I would have tried out and not bought, tried out and did buy, if I had just had that option. Because yeah, I do wish Nintendo would change their refund, like less than 2 hour, make it Steam, less than 2 hours game
Mhm.
played digital, you can make a return or at least exchange it. Um, I
I
wish we could see
tried
that.
I tried GameFly back when it was new. That was like the last thing I really rented a game through. Like all the way back in, that must have been like 2007 or something like that, like
Yeah.
forever ago. Um, I think actually Blockbuster when they were competing with the old school Netflix, back when you were getting Netflix in the mail. Okay, I'm going that far back. Blockbuster had a service and you could rent games through there too. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm remembering that now, slowly but surely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, the last system I think I was routinely renting games for was probably the Nintendo 64. I went already all the way up through there. But by then I was definitely preferring to own the games. Even the Super Nintendo I was.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. So I want to get into rankings, but is this game missing anything? That's the last one I have.
I don't think so. It's got every type of mode you could want out of this type of game. I mean, Sean might argue that it's missing the Kirby golf aspect of his favorite game there, Kirby Dream Course,
Mm,
but I think that would have been a little much to tell you the truth.
yeah. I put voice acting. I
Oh
know
yeah,
Super Nintendo, there's some voice acting in some games, but I was thinking like as far as mechanics go, I'm with you. I don't know what else to put in here. So, the amount of
bowling.
yeah, it's a short game, but the amount of content is good. I imagine this game was worth it when it came out, but yeah, it was just very like there was absolutely no sort of focus on it. All of the all of the magazines that I saw, it was like less than a page of a feature, so a couple little blurbs. I put this one at 81. I'm putting it right above Dreamland 3 because I was thinking back and I'm like, okay, I don't think I like Dreamland 3 that much, so I'll just put it right above that.
Um, Trying to find where I ranked Dreamland 3.
Yeah, there's so many.
Because I ranked this at number 24, which I'm positive is higher than Dreamland 3. It's pretty high on my list.
Yeah.
It's right below Pilot Wing 64, and it's right above Shinobi Ninja 3. I just really liked I really liked the design. I liked it fun factor, I guess you could call it. It's just that like je ne sais quoi that like I you can't quite describe what it is about the game. I was just very comfortable playing it. So I ranked it pretty high. I'm trying to find Dreamland 3. Here's Dreamland 2 with 47 and Dreamland at 48. Did I rank Dreamland 3 lower than those? I'm using a search function too, and it keeps telling me I don't have any. There we go. Now it's working.
Yeah, there's so many
Just give me.
Kirby's.
All right. So Dreamland 3, I ranked at 60. Okay. Which I did rank lower than the Game Boy titles. Okay. Don't remember why, but I stand by it. um, yeah, and this is my highest ranking Kirby game so far, I believe. Where's Kirby 64? Yeah, it's higher than that.
And
So
for me, this is the second lowest, and, I would recommend it to people who wanna play Kirby. I don't know.
oh, my mistake. Kirby's Dream Course, if you count that, shout out to Sean, is my highest ranked Kirby game at 16.